Hey guys, welcome to Talk Crypto. Listen, this is a real quick one. I was running late to do a live stream, and I was going to knock it on the head, but I've just seen the latest news. I want to bring this to you as I want to try and break down all the latest news and try and make it as simple and break down the complexity effectively. Now, for many of you, you may be aware, you may not be aware, BlackRock and others have been basically applying for a spot Bitcoin ETF. And obviously the SEC have been sort of holding this back and delaying tactics and things like this. But some news has just broken. I just really wanted to jump on this and share it with you. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm just trying to break this down to you. And the reason I thought this is so important just to jump on live just quickly is because I did a video yesterday, which was sort of talking about how to become a millionaire with a simple strategy. So, it's not meant to be clickbaity, because ultimately the principles were about talking about adoption and how things are going to change, and how talk about my journey when I look back to when I first heard about Bitcoin and I didn't pull the trigger. And I talk about that and, what if, and my whole message really around that video was about, if this is the first time you've heard about Bitcoin, you need to be pulling the trigger. Literally, I'm trying to tell you as though, you're my friend down the pub, we're having a chat, and this could be transformational. So genuinely, if this is the second time you've heard about it, pull the trigger. If this is the third time you've heard about it, pull the trigger. Don't be that person like so many of us who look back in 5-6 years going, yeah, I heard about that and I never did anything, because adoption is coming in a massive way in terms of mainstream adoption. And I'm not talking about Joe Public here. We've had, Joe Public are adopting it. What we're talking about here are massive, the biggest financial institutions in the world. This is the real money. This is where things are going to go insane. This is where adoption is going to go ballistic. And there is only 21 million Bitcoin. In actual fact, there's less, because there's probably been a lot of Bitcoin that's been lost over the years. You've probably heard those stories about people losing it in and getting chucked out into skips, and then it's lost forever. But this is the time, guys, to jump on this. Anyway, cut to the chase. The story is it's literally breaking news. So I'm going to try and share this as we go. I first spotted the news. Bear with me. I'm just trying to on one of the YouTubers I follow, and I'll do a quick clip of that. But his source was this guy. Let me just bring it up here on YouTube. He basically is a lawyer in America, and he's obviously been sort of following things. And he just points out here a guy called Scott Johnson. So two things that caught his eye in the latest iShares BlackRock S1 amendment. They've obtained, and this is talking about BlackRock, they've obtained a CUSIP in prep for a launch. They may be looking to seed with cash this month, which is earlier than I would have thought, but maybe nothing. So maybe nothing. But it sounds as though potentially things, we know it's underway. We know the applications are underway. We know it's going to happen. BlackRock are the biggest financial institution, in the world. They own everything. So obviously they have to do what's called a seed, I guess, the spot Bitcoin ETF with the Bitcoin. So they are either starting to hoover up, which is why today we've seen obviously a massive increase in price. Maybe there's, they've probably been buying it for a little while, one would assume, but obviously things are happening. So this guy's sort of following it. So definitely check out Scott Johnson. Keep an eye on his tweets. Just going to bring you up a little video as well. This is Invest Answers. He's a great guy. He talks a lot of, goes into a lot of the detail with charts and graphs and analysis. So worth watching again if you're new to the space. Let me just play this here. Here we go.
Because it's happening, ladies and gentlemen. All the stuff that we guessed, somebody behind the scenes stacking, you can see it with the action, how things are being bought up very quickly. It's happening. So let me walk you through a couple of quick items in this piece of very short breaking news. I won't take much of your time, but shout out to Scott Johnson. He said,
so that's the guy I was just mentioning about, Scott Johnson. Let me just sort of move it on a little bit. He brings up a few charts. Let's have a look. Does he bring up a few charts? I can't remember. Let's have a quick look. Okay, let me just play it through a bit. But
Eric Balchunas came out and said BlackRock, stating their recent spot Bitcoin ETF amendment, that they are seeding the ETF in October. They don't want to read too much.
So bear in mind, we are now the 23rd of October. So does that mean they're going to be launching it by the, in the next week or so? Again, it could be. So guys, listen, you got to be pulling the trigger if you haven't already. Let's just play a bit more
into that. But basically, what it all means, I'll try to break it down. ETF seeding is the process of providing that initial funding for an ETF to be launched. And it provides by a bank or a broker dealer, and it's used to purchase some units so they can actually launch live with an asset. It won't be a huge bag. It won't be $100 billion bag, but it'll be pretty substantial. And in the case of the Bitcoin ETF, the creation of these units would be the Bitcoin itself. Okay. And once the creation of the units have been purchased, they are exchanged for ETF shares, and these shares can then be traded in the open market on the ETF's launch site. I told you BlackRock was not going to muck about. They weren't going to waste their time. They knew they had to be in before the halving. I knew at the very latest it would be Q1 2024. It looks like.
So there we go. Yeah. So they basically, again, if you guys are aware of what the halving is, I'll just really quickly explain it. Because again, we're using a lot of these terminologies that, some of you, might not quite understand, because to be fair, I talked about it yesterday in yesterday's video, and I didn't really explain why these cycles happen. And I was talking about every, 4 years, 5 years, investing longer terms, timeframes and things like that as a strategy. But the point is, Bitcoin, basically how can I simply explain it? The halving happens every 4 years, and the amount of Bitcoin that is produced by the miners as a reward is halved effectively every 4 years. So, say I can't remember what the figures were originally, and I'll do a better video to explain this. But the point being that it becomes more scarce every 4 years because the amount of Bitcoin that is produced is halved on each block effectively that's created. So it just gets halved and halved and halved and becomes more scarce and scarce and scarce. And like I said, there's only gonna ever be 21 million. Now, if you can imagine the amount of money that's going to be coming in, not just with general adoption from Joe Public like yourself, who may be sort of tuning in and going, actually, yeah, listen, Ben is actually, it has hopefully, sort of made me pull the trigger. But actually, we're talking about massive adoption with, countries with the biggest financial institutions in the world. So listen, guys, if you found this helpful, give it a like, give us a subscribe. Really appreciate it. I'm not going to waffle on for any longer, but yeah, can't wait to catch up with you soon. I'll keep breaking down these news articles as best as I can to make it as simple to understand these complex processes. So keep tuned in, keep subscribed, give us a like, and I really appreciate it. I'll catch up with you soon. Take care.